Hey y'all. Actually in the middle of week 22 right now, but going to go look back at week 18. I'm going to try to catch up maybe one or two a week and cover those because there were some really kick-ass weeks and then there were some not so kick-ass weeks. But in week 18, we went to 6 shows. In those 6 shows, there were 16 sets, separate sets of music, which is kind of cool. Went to some smaller, like singer-songwriter type deals, but there were multiple, and some pretty cool stuff. Actually, had a blast this week. Started off with Gangsta Grass. If you haven't heard about them, most people know them from America's Got Talent, I think it's the name of it, or the one where they vote on, or something like that. But they're freaking kick-ass. The first time I got to see him, it was in a library, and it was like Gangsta Grass PG or something like that. It was the funnest thing ever. Like, he rapped about what the kids were doing, like freestyle, pulled it out. Like, it's crazy how good it is. And it's one of those things you really can only experience when you're there. But Gangsta Grass and it's run by Wrench. He does some singer-songwriter stuff too that's flipping fantastic. You should check his stuff out, as well as individual and as Gangsta Grass. They're both amazing. And after the library, we ended up having them over the house, offered to cook them dinner, and they came over and hung out with us and played a private set in the backyard. This is like 5 years ago, probably, maybe longer. Wow. But it's freaking fantastic, and I've been sold on them ever since. Anytime they're in the area, I have to go see them. A guy opened up for him. I guess it was more like the mixed music stuff, but it was his first show. It was really cool. His name was Levi Bloom. And if you all hear this in the side, this is actually sounds like Corey Smith at the moment. Sound checking. Yep. And Sterling's over there too. It sounds. Actually, the whole band is playing at the moment. Heck yeah. So you have some background music to listen to. Then we went on to Asheville, North Carolina for one of my favorite bands of all time, Mountain Grass Unit. These, like, you look at their hands, they were all under 21. It was flipping fantastic. There's the normal group of 3 of them who are phenomenal. And they had a guy sitting in with them playing fiddle. I missed his name, and I've tried to find it, and I couldn't find it. It was freaking fantastic, them together. Then they had this other kid sit in. His name was Carson Moore on banjo. Holy crap. He was freaking fantastic. Another under 21 kid. He seemed young, but his playing was way beyond his years. Like, it was freaking fantastic. I'm going to find out how or where he's at, or like if I see him anywhere, I'll be there. He had 2 Neckville banjos that I've never seen before. Like, they were different. One of them was an electric that wasn't like I don't know. They were Neckvilles, but they were like custom or something. It was awesome. You might want to check out. I did an interview with him as well. Check that one out. But Carson Moore was his name. Freaking fantastic. Moved on there from coming back on home. Went to Open Chord Stage, which is becoming one of my favorite places. It's very small, but it barely covers that 200 mark that I need for the capacity, and it's really cool. They've been getting some great artists. That night, there was this huge storm come through, and there were 3 people, like 3 fans there. It was Rick Robertson, who's freaking fantastic. Like, his drummer, and his bassist, all 3 of them are fantastic artists. Like, they're actually like on that Carson Moore level, but on a different type. They're not the bluegrass, but they're amazing musicians. but Rick Robertson was a fantastic show. I felt so bad for them. It was so dead, but it looked like we were getting ready to get a tornado at one point. So, like, I was watching outside just for that alone. But we got a nice personal show. It was fantastic. Then moved on there up to the Burl for Lilac. But who opened for them was Madeline Bear. She was really good. And the Boa Brothers. Or Boa Boys. Boa Brothers. Dang it, I can't remember. It's one of the two. But it's Boa and either brothers or boys. One of the two. And they're freaking fantastic. They're like a local band that's just... I had somebody say something that I had to check them out. It's like, okay. And I did. And whoa. They were awesome. And Lilac was really good. It's just not it wasn't my normal kind of music. But hey, I like musicians. As long as you can play and you're good, like, I'm game. Well, talk about musicians. The next night at the Burl was the Laurel Cove pre-party. If you know anything about the Laurel Cove Music Festival, it's one of those things when you start talking about it, it gives you goosebumps. And this year I did have to pass. I could not go. Part of this contest, I cannot go to festivals. Festivals count for 0. That is one I really regret missing, but hopefully next year I can get a ticket. That's the hardest ticket I've ever seen to get for a festival. But there were 3 musicians that night. Hannah Howard opened up, and then I believe it was Miles Miller and Taylor Honeycutt. All 3 of them were great. It was fantastic. Miles Miller had his whole band there with him, whereas just, what was it, last week? No, week before, I got to see, it was actually when they were heading to Laurel Cove. It was just him, and he opened up for Pony Bradshaw. So I got like 2 sides of him, which was really cool. But it was a good show all around there. Actually, almost every show I go to at the Burl, like, it's flipping fantastic. Like, the atmosphere kind of makes it. Like, I love that. And then actually I finished out the week in Lexington once again. Finished out with a 3-band set. The main act was Hot Brown Smackdown, which they're freaking fantastic. They can do some magical things on guitar, bass, drums, like fantastic. They're a fun band to go watch. It's always great when all my friends group gets to go, because it's kind of like a party in itself, and you don't even need anything else. Then before Hot Brown was a band that I've been chasing for a while, trying to see, and like, they're hard for me to see this year because they haven't been to many ticketed events. Like, in the past, they've done a lot of Nashville, and it's like a cover charge type deal, and I can't do that either. I'm gonna have to do a video on rules, because there is a crap load of rules to this whole Guinness thing, like 25, I think, and it just might as well get it all out there. But I cannot miss the band that opened up. I had never heard of them. I am so glad I heard of them now. I believe they were out of Lexington. I'm not sure. I know it was Kentucky because their name starts with Kentucky, and the band's name is Kentucky Wild Horse. Absolutely freaking fantastic. I got a couple of videos up on YouTube of them, but they were great. It was a fabulous show. And actually, that whole thing was a fabulous show. It was a Tall Sound Events. And luckily for me, they made it ticketed. So it was through TicketWeb or C or one of those, the smaller ones. It was freaking fantastic, because that means I was able to go. And I got to see Kentucky Wild Horse, East Nashgrass, and Hot Brown Smackdown. Fantastic. Thank you all so much for doing that, Tall Sound. I love that kind of stuff. I wish I could go to more of the events around Kentucky that they have. Not just Tall Sound, but all of the ones, like there's the Levitt series, there's the Like there's multiples where they do all kinds of free shows of localish acts, and it's freaking fantastic. But this year I can't do those. Next year I will definitely hit them all up because I have in the past quite a bit. So that finished off the week. Ended up with just like 1,218 miles, which I guess that's a lot, but I don't even know anymore. Like they keep adding up all the miles running everywhere back and forth. But it's been a lot of fun. And until next week, well, or maybe half week, however we're going to do this. But I hope you all have a great one. And until the next time, thank you very much.